You have been waiting for a long time, waiting for the right person to appear, waiting for someone to see you the way you have always wanted to be seen, waiting for the relationship that feels like home, the one that does not require you to shrink yourself or perform or wonder constantly whether you are enough. You have looked for it in the right places and the wrong ones. You have tried and hoped and been disappointed. You have watched people around you find what you are looking for and wondered quietly what they have that you do not. And underneath all of it, beneath the hope and the trying and the waiting, there is a question you have never said out loud. Why not me? Why does this come easily for some people and feel like a constant search for me? Why does it start and then fall apart? Why does the person who seems right turn out not to be? Why does it feel like no matter how much I want this, it stays just out of reach? I am going to tell you why. It is not because you are not lovable. It is not because the right person does not exist. It is not because love is rare or difficult or reserved for people who have something you lack. It is because you have been looking for love in the wrong direction. Outward, always outward, searching the external world for a person who will finally deliver the feeling you have been waiting for. As though love is something that exists out there, carried by the right individual, available to you only when that individual finally appears. That is not how love works. That is not how any of this works. Love is not something that arrives from outside you and fills you up. Love is a state, an inner condition, a way of feeling that you can choose right now, before the person appears, before the relationship begins, before the outer world has given you a single piece of evidence that it is on its way. And when you choose that state, when you genuinely assume the inner reality of love already received, the outer world has no choice but to produce a person and a relationship that matches what you have already become on the inside. That is the teaching. That is the law. And that is exactly what this video is going to show you how to apply. The love you want is not coming. It is already yours. You simply have to claim it from the inside first. Think about the last relationship that did not work out, not to revisit the pain of it, but to look at it honestly from the outside, from the perspective of someone who now understands that the outer world is always reflecting the inner state. What were you feeling on the inside when that relationship began? Not what you hoped it would become, what you actually felt beneath the excitement, beneath the attraction, beneath the genuine desire for it to work. For most people, if they are honest, there is something underneath, a quiet anxiety, a waiting for the other shoe to drop, a part of them that wanted the relationship desperately precisely because they did not feel complete without it. A part that needed the other person to provide something they could not yet give themselves. That inner state, that quiet need and fear and incompleteness was the real signal the relationship was built on. And the relationship, faithful to the signal, produced an experience that matched it. Uncertainty, inconsistency, the feeling of always being slightly off balance, of wanting more than was being given, of the connection never quite landing in the stable, easy, certain place you were hoping for. This is not a judgment, it is a pattern. And it is one of the most common patterns in romantic life. The outer relationship mirrors the inner relationship. Always. The person who enters a relationship from a place of wholeness, of genuine self-sufficiency, of the quiet certainty that they are lovable and loved regardless of what any particular person does or does not offer, that person creates a completely different relationship experience. Not because they found a better person, because they brought a better inner state. The relationship reflects the state, not the desire, the state. This is the insight that changes everything about how you approach love. You are not looking for the right person. You are building the right inner state, and the right person will be drawn to that state the way iron is drawn to a magnet. Not someday, as soon as the inner state is genuinely assumed. Most people treat love as something they are searching for. They scan the environment. They evaluate each person they meet against an internal checklist. They put themselves in situations where love might appear. They optimize their profile, their appearance, their social life. They do everything they can think of on the outside to increase the probability that the right person will find them. And all of that is not wrong. It is simply incomplete. Because the most important work is not happening on the outside. It is happening on the inside, in the state from which you are operating, in the feeling you carry into every room you enter, and every conversation you have, and every moment you spend alone. If that state is one of searching, of needing, of the quiet desperation of someone who feels incomplete without a partner, then every room you enter and every conversation you have transmits that state. And people feel it, not consciously, but they feel it. It changes how they respond to you. It creates a subtle energetic quality that the right person, the genuinely secure and whole person you want to attract, tends to move away from rather than toward. Because wholeness attracts wholeness. Need attracts need. The inner state you broadcast is the inner state you call in. This is not cruelty. It is precision. The solution is not to pretend you do not want love. You do want it. That is real, and it is beautiful. The solution is to stop making love the thing that will finally make you whole, and start making it the natural overflow of a wholeness you have already claimed. To move from I need love to complete me to I am complete. And love is the natural expression of that completeness. That shift, that single inner shift, changes everything about the love that appears in your life. Let us look at the story you have been telling yourself about love. Because there is one. There is always one. And it is running your romantic life, whether you are aware of it or not. For some people, the story is, I always end up alone. Every relationship I have been in has ended, and I am starting to believe that alone is simply my permanent condition. For others, it is I attract the wrong people. I can see it in retrospect. There is a pattern. The same type of person appearing in different packaging. The same dynamic playing out with different faces. For others, it is, I am too much, too intense, too sensitive, too complicated, too something, and love keeps moving away because of it. For others, it is I am not enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, not interesting enough, not worthy enough of the kind of love I actually want. Each of these stories feels like an observation, a conclusion drawn from experience, evidence-based, rational. But they are not observations. They are instructions. Every story you tell about your love life is a command to your consciousness to produce more evidence for that story. Every time you say, I always end up alone, you are not describing a pattern. You are creating one. You are planting that story in the creative soil of your inner world, and your inner world, faithful and precise, grows it into your next experience. The story has to change, not by pretending the past did not happen, not by forcing yourself to feel positive about things that genuinely hurt, but by making a conscious decision that the past is not the prophecy, that the pattern ends here, that the story you are going to tell from this moment forward is a different one. The story of someone who is deeply loved, who attracts with ease the kind of relationship that feels like home, who does not have to search or wait or settle, who simply is the state of love received and lets the outer world arrange itself accordingly. That story, told consistently, felt genuinely, becomes the new instruction, and the new instruction produces a new reality. Now I want to talk about the ideal partner specifically, because this is where Neville's teaching becomes both precise and liberating in equal measure. Most people, when they think about attracting the ideal partner, immediately go to a list of characteristics: physical appearance, height, career, lifestyle, specific qualities and traits and circumstances, the mental checklist that has been building since adolescence. And there is nothing wrong with knowing what you want. Clarity of desire is not the problem. The problem is when the specific details of the checklist become the focus of the imagination rather than the feeling of the relationship itself. Because Neville was clear about this, the imagination does not create by picturing specific faces and specific details. It creates by inhabiting specific feelings. And the feeling of love fulfilled has very little to do with what your partner looks like or what they do for work. It has everything to do with how you feel in their presence. So instead of imagining a specific person, imagine a specific feeling. What does it feel like to be with someone who genuinely sees you? Not the version of you that performs for the world. The real you. The private you. The you that most people never get close enough to know. What does it feel like to be chosen? Not tolerated, not settled for. Actively, enthusiastically, consistently chosen by someone who could choose anyone and chooses you. What does it feel like to love without fear? To be in a relationship so grounded in mutual respect and genuine affection that the anxiety and the second-guessing and the waiting for things to fall apart simply never arise. Find those feelings. Get specific about them. Not the person. The feelings. Because when you inhabit those feelings genuinely and consistently, the universe does not produce a face. It produces a match. A person whose own inner state is aligned with yours, whose presence naturally generates in you the exact feelings you have been cultivating. That is the person you want, and that is the person who is drawn to the state you are building. There is a practice Neville taught that is specific, simple, and more powerful than almost anything else you will ever do for your love life. He called it the imaginal scene. Here is how it works. You choose a single scene, not a movie, a single moment, a brief, specific, sensory-rich snapshot of a moment that could only exist if the relationship you want were already real. Not a first date, not a first kiss, not the beginning of the relationship. A moment from inside it. A moment of ordinary intimacy that would only occur between two people who are already deeply, comfortably, genuinely in love. The moment you turn to each other in a quiet room and the look that passes between you says everything words cannot. The moment your hand is held in a way that feels like safety and certainty and home. The moment someone who knows you completely, who has seen every part of you and chosen to stay, reaches across the table and touches your face. Small, specific, intimate, real. This is your scene. And every night before sleep, you are going to close your eyes and step into it. Not watch it from the outside. Step into it. Feel it from the inside. The warmth of the room, the weight of the hand, the ease in your chest, the absence of the searching and the waiting. and the wondering. Just this, just now, just the quiet certainty of love already arrived. Let that feeling be the last thing you are aware of before sleep takes you. And then let sleep carry it into the deeper layers of consciousness, where, according to Neville, the actual creative work is done. The scene does not have to be long. It does not have to be elaborate. It has to be felt, genuinely, vividly, sensorially felt, as present reality, not future hope. Do this every night, without exception, without impatience, and trust what is being built in the invisible world that always precedes the visible one. Before love can come from outside, it must be real on the inside. This is the teaching most people resist, because it sounds like being told to settle, like being asked to pretend you are okay without the thing you most deeply want, like spiritual bypass dressed up as wisdom. It is none of those things. Loving yourself first does not mean convincing yourself you do not want a partner. It means becoming someone whose inner life does not depend on a partner to be whole. There is a difference between wanting love and needing it. Wanting it is healthy, beautiful, human. Needing it, in the desperate, I cannot be okay without it sense, creates the very energy that keeps it at a distance, because what you desperately need, you subtly repel. The person who walks into a room complete, who is genuinely at ease with themselves, who radiates the quiet confidence of someone who likes who they are and does not require external validation to maintain that liking, that person is magnetic, effortlessly, without trying. Not because they are performing confidence, because they have genuinely done the inner work of deciding that they are worthy of love. Not when someone special confirms it. Already, right now, from exactly where they are. That worthiness is the foundation of everything. So before you work on attracting the right person, spend time working on the inner relationship with yourself, not as a project or a prerequisite, but as a genuine act of self-recognition. You are worthy of the love you want, not because you have earned it, or improved enough, or finally become the person you think you need to be, but because worthiness is not a reward. It is a birthright, and you can claim it right now. Claim it, feel it, live from it, and watch who it draws to you. Here is your complete nightly practice. Specific, in order, non-negotiable. Step 1. As you lie in bed and feel the day releasing you, take 3 slow breaths. Let the body soften with each one. Let the mind quiet. Step 2. Drop every worry about your love life, every question about when and how and whether. Just for this practice, you are not ignoring them. You are setting them aside for 10 minutes because they are not useful here, and you know that. Step 3. Enter your scene, the specific imaginal moment you have chosen. Step into it from the inside. Feel the warmth. Feel the ease. Feel the presence of someone who loves you and whom you love in return. Make it sensory. Make it present. Make it real in the body, not just the mind. Step 4. Let the scene rest in a feeling, rather than a picture. You do not need to maintain a vivid image. You need to maintain the feeling, the ease, the love, the certainty. Let the picture fade if it wants to, and hold only the feeling. Step 5. In that feeling, in that state of love already received, drift towards sleep, not forcing it, not holding on, just allowing sleep to come while the feeling is present. Let sleep take the state and carry it deeper. That is the practice. 10 minutes, every night, and in the morning, before anything else, before the phone, and the news and the rushing, take 2 minutes and return to the feeling. Not the scene necessarily, just the feeling, the ease and the love and the certainty of someone who knows they are on their way to the relationship they want because they have already claimed it on the inside. 2 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. That is the architecture of a consciousness that is actively creating love. Do it every day, without exception, without impatience, without constantly scanning the outer world for evidence that it is working. It is working. There will be hard days, days when the loneliness is loud and the practice feels hollow, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be seems wider than ever. Days when someone you are hoping for disappears, when a date goes nowhere, when you scroll through your phone at midnight and the quiet of your apartment feels less like peace and more like evidence. Those days are not failures. They are not signs that the practice is not working, or that you are doing it wrong, or that the love you want is not actually available to you. They are simply the old state reasserting itself, the old story trying to reclaim its territory, the familiar pattern of thought and feeling that has run for years and does not give up its grip without a fight. And on those days, the practice is not to push the feeling away, not to shame yourself for having it, not to perform positivity you do not feel. The practice is to acknowledge it, fully, honestly. Yes, this is hard. Yes, I feel this. Yes, tonight, the longing is real, and it hurts. And then gently, without force, without drama, to return to the scene, to the feeling, to the inner state of love already received that you have been building one night at a time. Not because returning erases the pain immediately, but because returning is the practice. The consistent, patient, faithful return to the state you have chosen is what builds the new identity. It is what replaces the old story with the new one. Not all at once, layer by layer, night by night. And every return, no matter how small, no matter how brief, plants something. Adds something to what is being built in the invisible world that precedes the visible one. Keep returning. On the easy nights and the hard ones, on the nights the feeling comes naturally, and the nights you have to find it with both hands. Keep returning, because the love you want is already yours. It exists in the invisible world right now, waiting for the inner state to match it. And every night you practice, you close the distance between where you are and where it already is. Keep closing the distance. You were not born to be alone. That is not a sentiment. That is a statement about the nature of consciousness and the nature of love. You were born with the capacity for deep, real, lasting love. The desire you feel for it is not a weakness. It is not neediness. It is the natural expression of a consciousness that knows what it is capable of and wants to fully live it. The love you want exists. The person who is capable of giving it and receiving it exists. The relationship that feels like home, that is built on genuine seeing and genuine choosing and genuine ease, that exists. And it is yours, not when the circumstances are right, not when you have worked on yourself enough, not when the universe decides you have waited long enough and finally delivers what you have been hoping for. Now, already, in the invisible world that always precedes the visible one. Your work is not to find it. Your work is to claim it, to feel it as already real, to live from the inside of it before the outside has caught up, to be the state of love received so consistently and so genuinely that the outer world has no choice but to produce a person and a relationship that matches what you have already become. That is the teaching. That is the law. That is exactly what you have. The tools to do starting tonight. The scene is ready. The practice is clear. The feeling is available to you right now. Claim it tonight. Return to it tomorrow. Stay in it. And let the world show you who it has been preparing to send to meet you there. The love you want is already yours. It is time to live like it.